Welcome back. Today, we're diving into something pretty deep, an ancient way of looking at what really keeps us going. We're going to unpack the hidden mechanics of our own existence, all based on a classic text from Buddhist philosophy.
I mean, ask anyone, what keeps you alive? And they'll probably say, food and water. Simple, right? But is that really the whole story? Is it just biology? Or is there something deeper going on? Something that sustains not just our bodies, but our minds too. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to start by totally rethinking what food even means. Then, we'll get into the invisible stuff that fuels our minds. From there, we'll look for the actual engine of life itself. After that, we'll talk about the invisible architect behind it all, and wrap up by seeing how this puts you in the driver's seat every single day.
So, our guide for this journey is the Yogacara Bhumi Shastra. It's this incredible foundational text. Think of it like an ancient map of the human mind. And in it, it lays out 5 core principles that are, essential for keeping us alive and kicking.
And right off the bat, this text throws a really wild idea at us, that we are constantly being fed by so much more than what's on our dinner plate. Yeah, every single interaction, every thought, every hope, it's all a kind of food.
Okay, so let's break this whole thing down. The system kicks off with what it calls the 4 foods, and I'm telling you, this is going to completely change how you think about nourishment.
So these 4 foods, they're kind of like a spectrum. On one end, you've got the actual, physical stuff we eat. But on the other end, it's all about the invisible currents of our thoughts and feelings, the stuff that keeps our inner world running.
All right, first up, physical food. This is the easy one, right? It's the stuff we all know. Grains, veggies, fruit. The material that literally builds and repairs our bodies. It's sustenance at its most basic biological level. Okay, but get this. Here's where it gets really cool. The text makes this super subtle but really important distinction. It says the experience of eating is totally different from the actual nourishment you get from it.
So think about that amazing meal you had. The taste, the smell, just the pure joy of eating it. That pleasure is actually a whole different category of food than the vitamins and proteins your body breaks down later. And that idea leads us perfectly into the next concept,
which is contact food. And this is huge. Just think about it for a second. That feeling you get from a beautiful sunset, or hearing your favorite song, or even just a really interesting idea you stumble upon. All of that. It's all a form of nourishment. It's this constant stream of input from the world that's feeding our mind and our mood.
Then we've got number 3, intentional food. This is basically the fuel of our hopes and dreams. Seriously, that drive you have to achieve a goal, the desire for a better life, it's a powerful kind of sustenance. I mean, we talk about mindset today, right? Well, this text sees it as a literal food that keeps our willpower going.
And last but not least, consciousness food. And this is the big one. It's like the electricity powering your phone or your computer. Without that basic power, none of the apps, none of your thoughts, feelings, or intentions could even run. It's the fundamental awareness, the raw consciousness that keeps the whole show online.
Okay, so we've got these 4 kinds of fuel for our body and mind. But, fuel doesn't do anything by itself. You need an engine. So what's the core engine that's actually using all this fuel to keep us running?
And that question is pretty much the heart of this whole framework. I mean, if all that stuff is the food, then what is the basic spark of being alive that's actually doing the consuming? That brings us to the 5th, and honestly, the most fundamental piece of the puzzle. It's called the life faculty. And a great way to think about it is like the battery pack you're born with. It's your innate life force. Without that core energy, none of the other foods we just talked about, not the physical stuff, not the mental stuff, none of it could be processed. It'd be like trying to charge a phone with a dead battery.
And this is a really crucial point. According to this framework, how long we live isn't just about eating right or staying healthy. It's fundamentally determined by the preset charge on that internal battery, that vital force.
So, of course, that leads to the next big question, right? What determines how strong that life faculty is? And while we're at it, what decides the quality of all the other food, the physical, sensory, and intentional stuff that we run into during our lives?
Well, according to this philosophy, the answer is karma, but mainly not in the way you're thinking. It's not about some cosmic judge handing out rewards and punishments. It's more like a natural law of cause and effect, like gravity. The idea is that our past actions become the architect that literally designs the blueprint for our life right now.
The text actually breaks karma down into 3 types. You've got white karma, from wholesome actions like kindness, which leads to pleasant experiences. Then there's black karma, from harmful actions, which leads to, well, unpleasant experiences. And then there's mixed karma, which is where most of us live. It comes from actions that are a bit of both, and it creates that mix of pleasure and pain that pretty much defines life.
And this is such a great example of how deep this goes. You can have a single intention with different moral layers. The anger itself might be the black or unwholesome part, but the reason for the anger, that desire to stand up to something wrong, that's the white or wholesome part. And that complexity, right there, is why life is almost never just all good or all bad.
So when you put this whole system together, the 4 foods, the life faculty, this idea of a karmic architect, it all circles right back to us, to our own daily thoughts and actions. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's meant to be a practical guide for living.
All right, let's wrap this up. What's the big picture here? Basically, we're these incredibly complex systems, and we're constantly being fueled by everything we do, feel, and think. And this entire process is happening inside a framework that was built by the momentum of our own past actions.
But here's the most important part, the real takeaway. We might not be able to change the karmic blueprint we started with, but we have total control over our mental and intentional diet in this very moment. What you choose to focus on, what you hope for, the thoughts you entertain, that is what you're feeding your mind right now.
So this whole idea reframes our entire mental life as this constant act of feeding ourselves. The things you think about, the content you consume, your ambitions, it's all your diet. And that brings us to the final question. It's not just philosophical, it's something to ask yourself every single day. Thanks for joining me.